Welcome to the Easy Odds Premier League videocast for another week of top-notch football after the international break, of course, which made me yawn. In fact, the most interesting thing about the international break was the friendly between Scotland and England, which I thought was fabulous. It was a great performance.
Oh, I did, yeah, it's good.
Really enjoyed it, some tremendous performances there. Don't forget, of course, on easyodds.com we'll have the top 10 Football League tips. Rossi will be on the ball there. He had a fantastic result on the FA Cup in the middle of the week. He remains in brilliant form. Where's Tom the Power Pal? What's he doing?
Well, Tom's taken a well-earned break this week, Paul, after nailing all 10 of his top 10 Premier League tips a couple of weeks ago. I thought he deserved a few days off, so...
he's gone on a cruise, hasn't he?
He's actually been in Belgium, so
okay.
yeah, I think he's checking in on Christian Benteke's fitness over the international break.
Okay, so Tom the Power Pal drinking a yard of ale and plenty of Belgian chocolates down there. Hopefully he brings his son back to the office as well. Now, loads of Premier League live matches to talk about. Simon's best bet of the day as well comes at the very end. We'll be talking about Palace against Liverpool, Hull City against Spurs, perhaps a possible shock in the offing there, and Villa against Southampton, of course, are second in the Premier League. We're going to start at the top of the shop with the main event of the weekend in many people's eyes from a spectacle point of view, but is it from a betting point of view? It's Arsenal versus Manchester United. Arsenal, one of only 3 teams to lose at home. Man United, only one of 3 teams not to win away from home.
Yeah, I mean, based on that, you wouldn't expect United to win, would you? But I'm actually going to this game, Paul. I'm lucky to get a couple of tickets for this, so and I think it'll be a good game as well. 2 out of form sides, you'd say. But I mean, I think the match betting's about right. Arsenal are at a 5-4 best price at the moment. I'd been 6-5 shots, which is fairly similar. I think it's maybe a little bit short, but they're not in great form. Obviously, they lost at Swansea last time out. The 3-3 draw with Anderlecht. But their long-term home record is good. It's always good. The last 25 home league games, they've won 16 of them, which is a 64% home win ratio.
Huge strike rate.
It's pretty good. United, obviously, as you said, not one away from home in the league this season. They've been poor away from home as well. But their post-Sir Alex Ferguson away win ratio is not bad. It's not one of the major issues, their away form. It's more their Old Trafford form. Still won 10 of 24 on the road since Sir Alex Ferguson retired, which is just under 42%. Still healthy. United 49-20 best price to win the match, which I think is probably about right, maybe a bit short, but nothing to write home about. So basically the match betting's fine. I think there'll be goals in this, but the bookmakers have got it well covered. Both teams to score is as short as 8-15.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Because they both can't defend, let's be honest.
Well, they've both got massive defensive issues and injuries as well. So but I think the bookies have covered that. Everyone knows that, and that's the problem. So there's no value there. So I turn to the goal scorer markets for a bit of value here, Paul. And a man who has a fantastic record in this fixture for both teams. And that's Robin Van Persie. I'm surprised Labrix have gone as big as 2-1 on Van Persie to score any time. I did more like a 7-5 shot, to be honest with you. Great record in this fixture, 5 in his last 6 games, starting for either club. He's just starting to come back into form as well, Van Persie. He's slipping under the radar because Costa and Aguero are still scoring so many goals. But 5 in his last 10 for club and country. Played well in the week for Holland, scored 1, assisted 2 in the 6-0 win over Latvia. He's playing against a very porous Arsenal defence. I mean, they've only kept 2 home clean sheets from 9 games, all competitions this season. In fact, only Burnley have failed to score at the Emirates since August of all visiting teams. And I think the problem's obvious. It's Lauren Koscielny being missing. Wenger's alluded to it this week, particularly because they're going to play Nacho Monreal at centre-back, which the Arsenal fans are particularly angry about, because Monreal is bad enough at left-back, let alone centre-back. So I think Van Persie could have a bit of a field day against this poor Arsenal defence. I think what also helps here is that United have a lot of superstar players like Rooney, Di Maria, Falcao, who people look at in the anytime markets, and it means people don't focus on Van Persie as much, which has pushed his price out to a reasonable price. And I think 2-1 on Van Persie to notch on his annual return to the Emirates doesn't look too bad. Yeah,
he'll be desperate to score, won't he, returning to North London. The big question with Simon going to the game is, because of our resident Arsenal fan in easyodds.com, he keeps on going on about the food there, is will you be having a slice of pizza?
I'm more of a burger man, to be honest.
Okay,
I will be going for a burger and a bottle of beer before the game.
Brilliant stuff. This is the Premier League videocast here at easyodds.com. Good to have you with us as well. We will also have a lounge podcast this week as well. Looking forward to Grand Prix, the finale there. Simon will be talking about that in Abu Dhabi, and plenty of reality betting as well. There's an awful lot going on, and any of you who are regular listeners and watchers of the lounge videocast will know that Rossi, the Mad Dog, we call him Mad Dog for a reason, because this is his area of speciality, as well as of course, lower league football has just an amazing record, level stakes profit in reality TV. And many people who do bet go, I'm not interested in reality TV. But if it's a money-making medium, for me, I mean, as a serious horse racing punter, as you know, for me it doesn't make any difference what the subject matter is. If you can make money out of it, then do so. Let's go on to Selhurst Park, Crystal Palace versus Liverpool. Simon 17th against 11th, and we all remember the memorable fixture last year, which is unbelievable.
Yeah, that was amazing fixture, wasn't it? The 3-3. Again, 2 out of form sides going head to head here, Paul. 2 very out of form sides. The match betting, I think, surprisingly, is probably about right. Liverpool are 9-10 to win here. I mean, obviously, if they're in better form, they'd be a lot shorter than that. I think it's about even money shots, to be honest. Palace, they're 71-20 to win the match, but they've just disintegrated recently. Normally, in this situation, I'd be quite keen to take on Liverpool, but Palace are just dreadful. 4 defeats in their last 5 Premier League games. They've shipped 2 or more in 4 of those 5 games as well. They've lost 3 of 5 at home this season. And to be honest, they look like they're going to pieces under Neil Warnock. I must say, that I thought the 3-1 home defeat to Sunderland in their last home game was really concerning. They just cannot defend, and all the good work Tony Pulis has done seems to be going out the window. Liverpool are obviously in poor form themselves, but they still managed to win half of their away league games this season. Even without Daniel Sturridge, they should be able to score goals against this back line. So I wouldn't oppose Liverpool, but I think the bet here is over 2.5 goals, Paul.
Oh, okay.
39-40, which I thought was a very, very good price. Liverpool have gone over 2.5 goals in 20 of their last 23 away Premier League games. So they only lost 1-0 at Newcastle in their last away game, but that's an anomaly for me. If you look at their other results before that away from home, they beat QPR 3-2, that could be any score. Lost 3-1 at West Ham, beat Tottenham 3-0, lost 3-1 at Man City. That's the sort of results that you're looking at with Liverpool when they go away from home. Obviously, Daniel Sturridge not being there again, being injured in the week is a blow. But on the other side, Liverpool have only kept 1 away clean sheet in their last 9 Premier League away games. So they're obviously Palace should be on the score sheet as well to help us with this bet. And Palace, as I said, no clean sheet in 5 Premier League games now. I think Liverpool should be able to rack up some goals, but Palace is still a threat at the other end. They're 9th in goals in the goals scored for column this season. So I think over 2.5 goals at 39-40 looks a very reasonable price.
Is the setup for Liverpool quite predictable from Brendan Rodgers in that he almost certainly will start with 1 up front, and we know the shape his side are going to be?
I would agree with you. Yeah, I think also it's interesting that Raheem Sterling's been poor recently, and he was better last season playing tip of the diamond behind 2 strikers, and Brendan can certainly look at doing that. Although the trouble is, he doesn't have any decent strikers at the moment, does he? No. So yeah, it's definitely a conundrum.
And that's almost a position that Coutinho has tied down when he is fit as well. So where do you play both players? Can you accommodate them in the same team? That's Palace versus Liverpool. Let's move on to Hull City against Spurs. Hull. Well, if they're going to get any points, you would have thought it's going to be at home, but they've only managed to yield 5 points from a possible 15 at home. That's going to be a big disappointment, isn't it, to a man that a lot of us call very friendly style, tongue-in-cheek, the big fat head manager.
Stevie Bruce, yeah, personal friend of mine. We were I was mascot at Old Trafford in 1995 when Steve was Man United captain. So yeah, I'm sure Steve remembers that day very well.
But never call him to his face, big fat head.
I certainly wouldn't know. Yeah. Although I'm sure thousands of fans will be doing that in the Tottenham end.
He's used to
the KC. Yeah. I think the match odds are about right here, Paul. Tottenham are 6-5 favourites to go and win. I mean, I know Spurs aren't in good form, but their away record is generally very good in the Premier League. They've only lost 1 of 5 on the road this season. Hull have lost a fair amount of home games since they came back up, 10 of 24, which is 42%. So I think they deserve to be mild underdogs. Neither side are in particularly good form, so I think the better team should just be lukewarm favourites, which is Tottenham, which is fine. But I think there should be a few goals here. And again, over 2.5 goals, it's odds against here, 21-20. Yeah. Okay. And I thought over 2.5 goals should be odds on here. I think it's a good price. Tottenham's last 4 away league games have seen 14 goals scored, 3.5 goals a game average. I think it's interesting that they just still can't defend at all. They can't seem to adjust to Pochettino's methods. The home game to Stoke last time out was a perfect example. They just couldn't defend. I think he might give Harry Kane another go here. He scored 8 in his last 9 games. I think
he's got nothing wrong with it.
Exactly. And I think that would aid this bet. I think Adebayor, particularly with his comments about the Spurs fans last week, I think he should be on the bench again. I think if Harry Kane starts, that'll be good for our bet. I think Steve Bruce will go more attacking here. He went back to 3 at the back recently. And the last 2 games have ended in 1-0 defeats, very tame 1-0 defeats, particularly the Burnley game last week, 2 weeks ago. they were rubbish in that, and Steve Bruce admitted that. I think he might go back to a more sort of 4-4-2 system here and get some more attacking impetus into his team against Spurs. And Hull still have very capable goal scorers. Abel Hernandez looks a very decent player.
He does.
They scored 2 against Arsenal and Man City. They obviously have Mo Diarmi chipping in with a few, and also Nikica Jelavic is back in training. He might make the game as well. So I think Steve might go 2 up front here. I'm calling him Steve like we're actually friends.
That's fair enough.
But I think over 2.5 goals, 21-20 is a good price. I think it should be odds on.
Okay, there you go. Another odds against bet for Simon, who will also appear in that lounge video cast a wee bit later on. Let's move on to Aston Villa versus Southampton. And we all know about the woes at Aston Villa at home. They've only scored 3 goals in 5 games at Villa Park. But then I'm sort of thinking double chance here on the other end, the other side of the coin. When is that Southampton gravy train going to come unstuck?
I'm absolutely with you here, Paul, and I think this is the perfect time to be opposing Southampton.
Oh, really? Okay.
Because everyone thinks they're the best thing since sliced bread. In reality, I'd say Southampton are a top 6 side. I'd say they're sort of Spurs-Everton level. Southampton are 4-5 to win at Villa Park.
Wow, that's short.
Would Everton or Spurs be 4-5 to win at Villa Park? Absolutely not. It's a complete overreaction. It's a crazy price. I definitely can't see Southampton keeping this up for too much longer. I know Aston Villa's home form is nothing special, but Southampton's away form's not that good. I mean, they've played 5 away league games this season. They've lost 2 of them. Going further back, the last 23 away league games, they've lost 9 of them, which is about 40%, which is about normal. Well, it's actually a bit worse than the top 6 sides. So, and the games they have won, they won 1-0 at Hull. You know, that's okay. They lost 1-0 at Spurs recently. The one they win at Swansea. Swansea reduced to 10 men in the first half. Boney was sent off. So they haven't really done that much on the road. It's more or less St Mary's form that's been impressive. Obviously Villa's poor home form is well documented, but they've won 7 of the last 22 home league games, which is around sort of 1 in 3. That gives them a much better chance than odds of 9-2 would suggest, which is their match odds price at the moment, which would suggest around a sort of 17% chance of winning. I think they're more like a 30-35% chance of winning the match. I think it should be about 2-1 shots in my eyes. So also good result for Villa last time out, 0-0 at West Ham. Showed good defensive resilience there, which should stand them in good stead against a decent Saints side. So the bet here for me, I think Aston Villa to win the match. I think 9-2 is a straight value bet, and it's a massive overreaction to Southampton.
And it's only a matter of time, isn't it, Si, before Benteke starts hitting goal-scoring form, isn't it?
Well, he's been suspended because he got sent off against Spurs for that stupid slap. But when he comes back from suspension, I think he'll
want to keep an eye on.
He is one to keep an eye on.
Who will they play up front?
I think they'll probably go with Bonlaw. Well, I think Vyman will play sort of off him. Yeah, I think their pace, it might actually suit here because Southampton are obviously a possession-based team. It could play well on the break.
Another odds-on tip here on easyodds.com. It's the old adage, isn't it? They never run with the herd. By the way, if you're interested in horse racing as well, this weekend a number of anti-post columns, courtesy of myself. I had a look at the Betfair Chase last week. You may have got on at a 10-1 shot, and I think the horses are still around about 6-1, 13-2. I'd still advocate having a bet, so go and have a look at my preview as far as that is concerned. And I've also done a preview on the fixed brush hurdle at Haydock, which looks very, very competitive and is normally won by a horse that's well backed, but I put in an outsider at huge odds at 25-1. I think he's still available at that price if he is accepted at the 48-hour stage, which is hugely, hugely interesting. Okay, let's ask Simon about his best bet of the weekend. Is he going TV or is he going non-TV?
I'm going TV, unfortunately, Paul. I know you don't like that, but it's a fairly low value weekend, I would say, in general. But I think Aston Villa to beat Southampton in the Monday night game at 9-2 is a cracking price. As I've already said, I think it should be around 2-1 shots. That's what their long-term home form would imply. Southampton is 4-5 shots, absolutely no chance. Eventually, they will start receding to their normal level. So Villa to win at 9-2 is a good value bet. Will
it be this weekend? Will we see the start of the demise of Southampton, the Saints at the Villains? You can find out on Monday night. That finishes our video cast on the Premier League. Don't forget to have a listen and a watch to the lounge as well. We'll be back with you next week, hopefully with Tom the Power Pal back as well. Have a good weekend.